All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. And today we will look at how to set up Performance Max feed only like a pro. I did a video like that a while ago, over 2 years almost. And I just want to do an updated version, a little refresher, go through some common mistakes, common pitfalls that I see people do, because it's quite simple to set up, but just tackling that, then everything should be clear, and that's pretty much it. Let me do a quick explanation why feed only. So the idea of running a feed only campaign is to force Google to spend on shopping ads only, right? Because the PMax per se spends on all Google properties. You see it here: search, display, YouTube, discover, Gmail. Like with the PMax, you can show everywhere, right? And that's why you have to fill in all these assets: headlines, long headlines, descriptions, images, videos, blah, blah, blah. And then it can show everywhere. But the thing is, especially in the beginning, if you don't have a lot of data yet, it will spend on cheap properties sometimes, properties that don't give you the highest return on investment. And you don't want that, right? As an Ecom brand, shopping ads will usually give you the highest ROAS. There are some exceptions where we do assets straight from the start in certain niches. If we have a lot of data, if we run on Facebook ads already very successfully, for example. But in 99% of the cases with our agency, where we manage multiple clients, I don't know how much in ad spend, doesn't even matter, but we do feed only in 99% of the cases, So super important, because we want to spend on shopping only. That's where we get the best ROAS. In the beginning, later on, we can do different stuff. But then we like to use separate campaigns for that. Like if we want to run on YouTube, we do a separate campaign for that, right? So we don't want to have all of that in the PMax because you lack control. You cannot control the performance. And like I said, usually it gives you a worse return on investment. So that's why we don't want that. And let's start with the two most common mistakes I see everybody doing when setting things up. And the first is forgetting to set up tracking, all right? So you need to have tracking in place, otherwise your campaign will not spend. So make sure you have tracking set up, whatever you use TrackBee or WeTracked. That's what I like to use. Easy to set up, fairly easy to implement, and also works really well. So use TrackBee, WeTracked, whatever works, but you need to have tracking in place, right? So that's step number one. Step number two is go to Tools and Data Manager and make sure the Merchant Center is connected here, right? So you have to connect your GMC to the ad account, which is not done in that ad account because that's my personal ad account. Like we don't have a feed here, right? So it's just the agency ad account. Not really using it right now either. Just using it for demonstration purposes, but you need to make sure that it's connected. Otherwise it will not work. And you will see it obviously like for me here as well, right? So make sure that's the case. And I will show it to you now how you would do it, and we go through the steps together. Just besides the fact I don't have a feed, but doesn't matter for this video. All right, let's go. New campaign, nice. Sales. All right, then your big purchases here should be the default account default action, right? But just make sure you have purchases here. I have signups obviously because I don't have a purchase conversion action, but that's fine for this video. Then Performance Max, then you open your site, right? Better to copy, so you don't make any mistakes here. And then you call it whatever, PMax, feed only, whatever works for you. Doesn't matter, it's just a campaign name. Right, then continue. Perfect. Then here we want to directly bid on conversion value, right? Instead of conversions, we want to maximize revenue, not just purchases. So that's the difference here basically. Don't set the target in the beginning. Doesn't make sense. You don't have any data in that campaign yet. So you start without that. Next. Then beautiful. All right. So I will pick whatever, United States. Let's say I'm targeting the US. And then I changed it here already. So I'm already used to it, have it, but make sure you check this here. And include just presence, not presence or interest, right? Presence, people in regularly in your included locations, because that includes people in, regularly in, or who have shown interest in your included locations. So that's way broader, right? So you don't want that. Pick this. So it's hidden here, showing it again because I picked it so quickly, just out of habit. but there it is, right? The languages, I always like to include the native language and English by default. So here we just keep English, or with the US, you can also do all languages, right? Because it's fairly international. But yeah, English works, so we do that. And then here we want to switch everything off. Otherwise, it will not be just feed only in shopping. So also very important, make sure you switch that off. We don't want any of that, right? Done. So we have all of that, more settings, like let's check real quick. Bam, bam, bam. So here we want to do ideally computer and mobile phones only. They are more performance oriented than like people who search on tablets or even TV, right? Like you might use TV for like discovery or like browsing a little bit, but you don't really buy there. So you need to have to switch the phone or the computer. So we just avoid it in general. It's a fairly small fraction of the traffic anyway, but that's why we just exclude it. Not the biggest, most important setting here, but just do it. All right, so we have everything perfect. Next, skip. So you don't want to do anything here, super important. Don't generate any assets, otherwise it will not be feed only anymore. Skip, and here you also want to skip everything, right? You don't do anything, you just go to the next. Audience signals we usually also keep empty unless you already have super valuable data. Then feel free to edit here, like all converters, all visitors. That helps the algorithm in the learning phase, but doesn't really matter that much, especially if you don't have any data, just keep it empty. All right. Next, then you set your budget, of course, like I will do €1 now. I will not run with that campaign anyway. And that's it, right? So quick summary, and I will have an error here now because I don't have a feed connected, so it will not work for me, right? But if you do it correctly, if you have the GMC connected and also connect the feed with the campaign, you don't need to add anything here, and you shouldn't add anything here because the moment you add anything here, right, super important, the moment you add assets here, it's not feed only anymore, and Google will spend on other properties, and that's pretty much it.